The alien princess said she hated humans, yet she fell asleep on my shoulder. Commander Marcus Chen stood at the window of the diplomatic station, watching the blue sun of Zephoria rise over the crystal cities below. After 3 years of careful planning, today would finally bring the first peace talks between humans and the Zephyrian Empire. The war had lasted 30 years, fought over mining rights in the outer systems. Both sides were tired of fighting. Marcus adjusted his dress uniform and checked his notes one more time. As Earth's lead negotiator, he carried the hopes of billions on his shoulders. The pressure made his stomach tight, but he had learned to hide his nervousness behind a calm face. Humans were emotional creatures, but the Zephyrians saw emotions as weakness. He could not show any sign of fear or doubt. The door chimed softly. Lieutenant Sarah Kim entered the room, her face serious. "Sir, the Zephyrian delegation has arrived. Princess Lirelei is with them." Marcus nodded. He had read about the princess in his briefing files. She was the heir to the Zephyrian throne, 200 years old, but still young by their standards. The reports said she was brilliant, cold, and deeply suspicious of humans. Some called her the Ice Princess. "How do they seem?" Marcus asked. "Unfriendly, sir." The princess barely looked at our greeting party. She kept her distance from everyone. This was not surprising. The Zephyrians were a proud race. Their skin was made of living crystal that could change colors with their moods, though they had learned to control it over many centuries. They lived much longer than humans and thought themselves superior in every way. Marcus walked to the main conference room. The Zephyrian delegation was already seated at the long table. They wore flowing robes that sparkled like starlight. Crystal skin reflected the room's lights, creating rainbow patterns on the walls. At the center sat Princess Lirelei. Marcus had seen pictures of her, but seeing her in person was different. She was tall and elegant, with skin that looked like polished sapphire. Her hair flowed like liquid silver, and her eyes glowed with soft blue light. She was beautiful, in an alien way that made humans feel small and rough, but there was something cold in her expression when she looked at him. Her lips curved into what might have been a smile, but it held no warmth. "Commander Chen," she said in perfect English, though her voice sounded like music played on glass instruments. "Interesting to finally meet a human leader face to face." "Here, Highness," Marcus replied with a formal bow. "Thank you for coming. We hope these talks will bring peace to both our peoples." She said the word like it tasted bitter. "Yes, humans do love their grand words about peace and friendship. You speak of such things while your kind spreads chaos wherever you go." The other Zephyrians remained silent, but Marcus could see their skin shifting to deeper blue shades. They were becoming more hostile. "I understand there have been misunderstandings between our species," Marcus said carefully, "but I believe we can find common ground." Princess Lirelei laughed, and the sound was like crystal bells breaking. "Common ground, Commander. Your people are emotional parasites. You contaminate everything you touch with your wild feelings and unpredictable behavior. You call it being human. You call it being dangerous." The formal negotiations continued for hours. Every proposal Marcus made was met with cold rejection. The princess spoke of humans as if they were diseased animals. She called them chaos bringers, primitive creatures driven by feelings they could not control. But Marcus noticed something odd. Sometimes when she thought no one was looking, the princess would stare at him with curious eyes. Her crystal skin would flicker to warmer colors for just a moment before snapping back to cold blue dot as the afternoon ended. Both sides agreed to continue talks over dinner. The human staff had prepared a formal meal in the station's dining hall. They had studied Zephyrian customs for months, trying to avoid any cultural mistakes. The dinner began well. The Zephyrians ate little, but they seemed to approve of the simple foods that had been prepared. The conversation was polite, but tense. Then disaster struck. Marcus had noticed that Princess Lirelei seemed uncomfortable with the human-style chairs. The Zephyrians normally sat on cushions close to the floor, not on raised seats with backs. She kept shifting position, trying to find a comfortable way to sit. As she reached for her water glass, the chair tilted. Princess Lirelei lost her balance and started to fall backward. Marcus reacted without thinking. He jumped from his seat and caught her arm, pulling her forward to safety. For a moment, his hand was pressed against her crystal skin. The room went dead silent. Princess Lirelei stared at him with wide, shocked eyes. Her skin had turned bright purple where he touched her, the color spreading up her arm like fire. Every Zephyrian at the table drew back in horror. "How dare you?" one of the princess's guards shouted, rising from his seat. "No one touches the royal family without permission." I apologize," Marcus said quickly, releasing her arm. "I was only trying to help, but the damage was done." Princess Lirelei's skin had returned to its normal blue, but darker than before. Her expression was furious. "This is exactly what I expected from humans," she said, her voice shaking with anger. "You cannot control yourselves. You act on instinct like wild animals. You think your crude emotions give you the right to touch others without consent." She stood up, her whole body now glowing with angry light. The other Zephyrians stood with her. "Your Highness, please," Marcus said. "It was an accident. In human culture, we help others who are falling." "I meant no disrespect, human culture," she spat. "Your culture is chaos. Your people are the most repulsive species in the galaxy. You spread your emotional contamination wherever you go. I was a fool to think we could ever have peace with creatures like you." Princess Lirelei turned to leave, her silver hair flowing. Behind her, like water, the other Zephyrians followed, their skin colors dark with disapproval. But as she reached the door, something made her stop. She turned back, and for just a moment Marcus caught her looking at him. Her expression was not angry anymore. Instead, there was something else in her glowing eyes, something that looked almost like sadness. Then she was gone, and Marcus was left alone with his human team, wondering what had just happened. The first day of peace talks had ended in complete failure, but Marcus could not stop thinking about that look in her eyes, and the way her skin had turned purple when he touched her. Maybe there was more too. Princess Lirelei than her cold words suggested. 3 days had passed since the dinner disaster, as the peace talks were completely frozen. Princess Lirelei refused to meet with any humans, and her advisors spoke of returning to Zephyria immediately. Marcus stood in the cargo bay, checking supplies. For the long journey home, Earth's command had ordered him to return if talks failed completely. He felt like he had let everyone down. "Sir," Lieutenant Kim called over the radio, "we have a problem. Long-range sensors show 3 unknown ships approaching fast. They're not responding to our signals." Marcus dropped what he was doing and ran to the bridge. Through the main screen, he could see 3 dark ships moving toward the station. They had no identification marks and flew in attack formation. "Pirates," the sensor officer said grimly. "Looks like the Red Moon Gang. They must have heard about the diplomatic meeting." The pirates were known for attacking peace negotiations. They made money from the war by selling weapons and supplies to both sides. Peace would ruin their business. "All ships prepare for battle," Marcus ordered. "Get the civilians to safety." The attack began within minutes. Laser fire lit up space around the station. Human escort ships fought back, but they were outnumbered. The Zephyrian ships joined the fight, their crystal weapons flashing like diamonds in the darkness. In the chaos, Marcus received an emergency order. "Commander, take Shuttle Bay 3 and evacuate the diplomatic staff to the surface base. We'll hold them off as long as we can." Marcus ran through corridors filled with smoke and flashing lights. In Shuttle Bay 3, he found Princess Lirelei and her guard, waiting by a damaged Zephyrian transport. "Our ship cannot fly," the guard said. "The engines are destroyed." "Take my shuttle," Marcus said, pointing to the human craft nearby. "I'll pilot you to safety." Princess Lirelei looked at him with surprise. "After what I said to you? After I called your people repulsive?" "That doesn't matter now," Marcus replied. "We need to survive." They climbed into the shuttle just as explosions rocked the station. Marcus started the engines and flew toward the nearest moon, where humans had built a small research base. But the pirates saw them leaving. 2 fighter ships broke away from the main battle and gave chase. "They're gaining on us," Princess Lirelei said, watching the rear screen. Marcus pushed the engines to full power, but it wasn't enough. The pirates opened fire, and the shuttle shook under the impact. "Hold on," Marcus shouted. He dove toward the moon's surface, using its gravity to gain speed. The pirates followed, their guns blazing. One shot hit the shuttle's left engine, and they began to spin out of control. "We're going to crash," the guard yelled. Marcus fought with the controls, trying to find somewhere safe to land. The moon's surface was mostly rock and ice, with deep valleys and sharp mountains. Finally, he spotted a flat area near some cliffs. The shuttle hit the ground hard, bouncing twice before sliding to a stop. Marcus's head hit the control panel and everything went black for a moment. When he woke up, Princess Lirelei was shaking. "His shoulder, Commander? Are you hurt?" Marcus sat up slowly. His head was bleeding, but he could move. "I'm okay. What about you?" "We are alive," she said, "but my guard." He did not survive the crash. Marcus looked back and saw the guard's still form. He felt a wave of sadness for the man who had died protecting his princess. "I'm sorry," Marcus said softly. Princess Lirelei nodded, her skin flickering to a sad gray color. "He was a good person. He served my family for 50 years. Marcus checked the shuttle's systems. The news was all bad. The engines were destroyed, the radio was broken, and life support was failing. They would have to survive outside. "Your people track us?" Marcus asked. Princess Lirelei tried her personal communicator. The crystal device was cracked and dark. "No, the crash damaged everything." Marcus gathered what supplies he could find. The shuttle's emergency kit had basic survival gear, a shelter tent, water purification tablets, some food bars, and a small heater. It wasn't much, but it would have to do. Outside, the moon was cold and hostile. The air was thin but breathable, and the gravity was lighter than normal. Strange blue plants grew between the rocks, and in the distance they could see the wreckage of the pirate ships that had followed them down. "They crashed too," Marcus observed, "but I don't see any survivors." They set up the emergency shelter. In a protected spot between two large rocks, Princess Lirelei watched Marcus's work, her expression curious. "Your technology is very simple," she said, "but it seems effective." Marcus smiled as he secured the tent ropes. "Humans learn to make things that work in bad conditions. We can't rely on advanced technology like your people can." As night fell, the temperature dropped quickly. Princess Lirelei began to shiver, her crystal skin turning pale blue. Marcus realized that Zephyrians were used to warm climates and controlled environments. "You're getting too cold," he said with concern. "I will be fine," she replied, but her voice was weak. Marcus knew she wasn't fine. He had read about Zephyrian biology during his preparation for the peace talks. Their crystal skin conducted heat very well, which made them vulnerable to extreme cold. "We need to share body heat," Marcus said. "It's the only way to keep you warm." Princess Lirelei looked shocked. "I cannot. It would be inappropriate." "Your Highness, you'll freeze to death if we don't. This is about survival, not culture." She hesitated for a long moment, then nodded slowly. They moved closer together in the small tent, and Marcus wrapped his emergency blanket around both of them. At first, Princess Lirelei was tense and uncomfortable. But as Marcus's body heat began to warm her, she started to relax. Her skin color returned to normal, and her shivering stopped. "Better?" Marcus asked. "Yes," she said quietly. "Thank you." They sat in silence for a while, listening to the wind outside. Finally, Princess Lirelei spoke. "Why did you help me, after everything I said about humans?" Marcus looked at her glowing. "Eyes in the dim light, because it's the right thing to do. Take care of people who need help. It doesn't matter if they like us or not. That is strange," she said. "My people would not help someone who had insulted them." "Then maybe that's something we can teach each other," Marcus replied. Princess Lirelei studied his face with new interest. For the first time since they had met, she seemed to be really seeing him as a person, not just a representative of a species she disliked. Outside, the alien moon's wind howled through the rocks, but inside their small shelter too. Enemies from different worlds were learning to trust each other, one moment at a time. 3 weeks had passed since the crash. Marcus and Princess Lirelei had settled into a daily routine of survival. Each morning, Marcus would check their water supply and search for food. Princess Lirelei helped repair their shelter and tried to To fix the broken communicator, their small camp had grown more comfortable over time. Marcus had built a fire pit from stones and found edible plants growing near a stream. Princess Lirelei used her knowledge of crystal technology to create better tools from the shuttle's wreckage, but the most surprising change was between them. They talked more each day, sharing stories about their worlds and peoples. Princess Lirelei was no longer the cold, distant royal she had been at the peace talks. She asked questions about human culture with genuine curiosity. Your people really live such short lives? She asked one evening as they sat by the fire. About 80 years, if we're lucky, Marcus replied. Maybe 100 with good medical care. Princess Lirelei's skin flickered to a soft purple, a color Marcus had learned meant sadness. That is so brief. I am already 200 years old, and I am still considered young by my people. Does living longer make you happier? Marcus asked. She was quiet for a long time, staring into the flames. I do not know what happiness is supposed to feel like. Marcus looked at her with surprise. What do you mean? Princess Lirelei sighed, and her breath created small crystals in the cold air. My people gave up emotions long ago. We decided they were. What is your word, primitive? We believed that feelings made us weak and foolish. But I've seen your skin change colors, Marcus said. That shows emotions, doesn't it? As she admitted. We cannot completely remove our feelings, but we learn to control them from childhood. Strong emotions are considered shameful. A proper Zephyrian shows no fear, no joy, no sadness. We live our long lives in perfect control. Marcus poked the fire with a stick, sending sparks into the dark sky. That sounds lonely. Lonely. Princess Lirelei repeated the word slowly. Yes, I think that is the right word. My people live for centuries, but we rarely form close friendships. We marry for political reasons, not love. We have children because it is our duty, not because we want families. And why do you live so long if you can't enjoy life? Princess Lirelei looked at him with those glowing eyes. I've been asking myself that question since we crashed here. You humans live such short lives, but you seem to experience more joy in one day than I have felt in 200 years. Marcus felt a deep sadness for her. It doesn't have to be that way. Emotions aren't weakness. They're what make life worth living. My teachers said that emotions cause wars and destruction. They pointed to humanity as proof that feelings are dangerous. Emotions can cause problems, Marcus agreed. But they also create beautiful things. Love, friendship, art, music, literature. The willingness to help strangers, to sacrifice for others, to feel wonder at a sunset. As if to prove his point, Marcus pointed to the sky above them. 2 of the system's moons were rising, creating a spectacular light show against the star. Field. Beautiful, Princess Lirelei whispered, and her skin glowed with warm golden colors. See, Marcus said gently, you're feeling wonder right now. It's an emotion, and it's not making you weak. It's making you more alive. The next morning brought trouble. Marcus woke up feeling sick and dizzy. He had been drinking from a new water source they had found the day before, and now he realized it might have been contaminated. I don't feel well, he told Princess Lirelei, trying to stand up. The world spun around him, and he fell back down. Princess Lirelei rushed to his side, her skin flashing between worried purple and frightened white. What is wrong? What can I do? Marcus was burning with fever, and his vision was blurry. Water. I think it made me sick. There should be medicine in the shuttle's first aid kit. Princess Lirelei ran to get the medical supplies. Her hands were shaking as she read the labels on the medicine bottles. She had never taken care of a sick person before. This one says fever reducer, she said, showing him a bottle of pills. Marcus tried to focus on the label. Yes, ... Take 2, ... with water. For the next 3 days, Princess Lirelei learned what it meant to care for someone else. She brought Marcus clean water, helped him take his medicine, and used wet cloths to cool his burning skin. She stayed awake at night to watch over him when his fever was highest. On the second night, when Marcus was delirious and mumbling in his sleep, Princess Lirelei found herself holding his hand. She had never touched another person so gently before. Skin where their hands joined glowed with soft, warm light. "Please get better," she whispered. "I do not want to be alone again." She was shocked by her own words. For the first time in her long life, she was genuinely afraid of losing someone. The emotion was so strong that her skin couldn't hide it. Waves of purple and blue rippled across her body. On the third morning, Marcus's fever finally broke. He opened his eyes to find Princess Lirule sitting beside him, looking exhausted. "How long was I sick?" he asked weakly. "3 days," she replied. I was worried about you." Marcus saw the concern in her glowing eyes and understood how much this meant. "Thank you for taking care of me. That couldn't have been easy." Princess Lirule's skin turned a deep red color, embarrassment mixed with something else. "I did not know I could feel such concern for another person. When you were very sick, I thought you might die. I felt pain. Not physical pain, but something inside my chest that hurt. That's called caring," Marcus said softly. "It means someone matters to you. Is this what humans call love?" "She asked." Marcus smiled weakly. "It's one kind of love. It's a love between friends who care about each other." Princess Lirule was quiet for a moment. "My people would say, I have been contaminated by your human emotions. They would be ashamed of me." "You ashamed?" Looked at their joined hands, still glowing where they touched. "No," she said finally. "For the first time in my life, I feel truly alive. If this is contamination, then I welcome it." Outside their shelter, the alien sun was rising, painting the rocky landscape in shades of gold and purple. Inside, a princess, who had never known friendship, was discovering that the greatest strength wasn't in controlling emotions, but in allowing them to connect one heart to another. On their 4th week together, Marcus finally managed to repair the shuttle's emergency beacon. The small device had been damaged in the crash, but with patience and spare parts, he got it working again. "The signal is weak," he said, checking the readings, "but it should reach the nearest space lanes." Princess Lirule felt a strange mix of hope and sadness. Hope that they might be rescued, but sadness that their time together might end. Over the past weeks, she had learned more about herself than in 200 years of royal life. "Will your people come looking for you?" she asked. "Eventually, but they might think we're dead after so long." Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead. He was still weak from his illness, but getting stronger each day. They waited for 3 days. On the 4th day, their sensors picked up approaching ships. Marcus felt excitement until he got a closer look at the radar screen. "Those aren't rescue ships," he said grimly. "Same signatures as the pirates who attacked us." Princess Lirule looked at the screen with growing fear. "How did they find us? They must have been monitoring emergency frequencies." "Pirates sometimes rescue survivors to sell them as slaves or hold them for ransom. 3 dark ships landed near their camp within the hour. Armed figures in heavy armor climbed out and approached their shelter. Marcus and Princess Lirule waited inside, holding improvised weapons. "Come out!" a rough voice called. "We know you're in there." Marcus stepped outside first, keeping Princess Lirule behind him. The pirate leader was a large man with scars across his face and metal implants in his arms.
"Oh, well, the pirate
said with a cruel smile. "Human commander and Zephyrian royalty." "This is our lucky day. What do you want?" Marcus asked. "Simple business," the pirate replied. "The princess comes with us. Her family will pay a good ransom for her return. You human are worthless to us." Princess Lirule stepped forward, her skin glowing with angry red light. "Oh, I will not leave without him." The pirate laughed. "You don't have a choice, Your Highness. But if you want to be difficult, we can just kill the human now." The other pirates raised their weapons, pointing them at Marcus. Princess Lirule's skin went white with fear. "Wait," she said quickly. What if I agreed to come willingly? Will you let him live?" "Lirule, no," Marcus said softly. "Don't do this." The pirate leader pretended to think about it. "Maybe. If you cooperate completely and cause no trouble, we might drop the human somewhere he can be found." Princess Lirule looked at Marcus, her eyes full of pain. "I cannot let them hurt you." but Marcus shook his head. These are the same pirates who attacked the peace talks. They don't keep their promises. If you go with them, they'll kill me anyway. Smart. Human, the pirate leader said with a nasty grin. You're right. We can't leave witnesses. Princess Liralay's expression changed from fear to fury. Her skin blazed with bright silver light, and her voice became cold as space ice. Then you have made your choice, she said, and I have made mine. She raised her hand, and the broken crystal from her communicator began to glow. It's precise. Movements. She used her natural connection to crystal technology to turn the fragments into weapons. Get back to the shelter, she told Marcus. The battle that followed was unlike anything Marcus had ever seen. Princess Liralay moved like a dancer, sending sharp crystal fragments flying through the air with deadly accuracy. Her royal training in crystal combat finally had a purpose beyond ceremony, but there were too many pirates, and they had heavy weapons. Marcus knew they couldn't win by fighting alone. We need to get to higher ground, he shouted over the sound of laser fire. The cliffs. Working together, they retreated toward the rocky cliffs where they had better cover. Marcus used his human knowledge of tactics while Princess Liralay provided fierce, crystal attacks that kept the pirates at bay. They found a defensible position among the rocks and prepared for a long fight. Marcus showed Princess Liralay how to set traps using the shuttle's remaining supplies. She learned to use her crystal abilities in new ways, creating barriers and obstacles. I've never fought to protect someone else before, she said during a quiet moment between attacks. How does it feel? Marcus asked. Terrifying, she admitted. But also, ... right? Is this what humans call courage? Marcus smiled. Courage isn't not being afraid. Courage is doing what's right, even when you're scared. Princess Liralay's skin glowed with warm golden light. Then I am learning to be courageous. Pirates attacked again at sunset, but the two survivors were ready. They had turned their rocky position into a small fortress. Every approach was covered by traps or defensive positions. As night fell, the pirates pulled back to wait for morning. They knew their prey couldn't escape, so they decided to rest and attack with full force at dawn. Marcus and Princess Liralay sat together in the darkness. Exhausted and frightened, but still alive. They shared their remaining water and food, knowing tomorrow might be their last day. I want to tell you something, Princess, Liralay said quietly. Before we met, I thought life was about duty and control. I thought emotions were weakness. And now, Marcus asked, now I know that caring about someone else is the strongest thing in the universe. You humans understand something my people forgot long ago? She moved closer to him as the night grew colder, Marcus. I am afraid of what tomorrow will bring. But I am not sorry we crashed here together. Neither am I, he said softly. They took turns keeping watch. But as the hours passed, Princess Liralay found herself growing drowsy, despite her fear. The warmth of Marcus's presence beside her was comforting in a way she had never experienced. Without thinking about it, she let her head rest against his shoulder. For a moment, she tensed, remembering all her royal training about proper behavior. But then she relaxed, allowing herself to accept this simple human comfort. Marcus felt her breathing become slow and steady as she fell asleep. Her crystal skin glowed softly where it touched him, creating a gentle light in the darkness. For the first time in her long life, Princess Liralay slept without fear, protected by the warmth of someone who truly cared about her. And Marcus kept watch over them both, knowing that whatever tomorrow brought, they would face it together. Dawn came too quickly. Marcus woke to find Princess Liralay still sleeping against his shoulder, her crystal skin glowing softly in the morning light. He hated to wake her, but the pirates were already moving. Liralay, he said gently. Hi there. Coming. She opened her glowing eyes and looked up at him. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then she sat up, her skin shifting to determined silver. Are you ready? She asked. Marcus checked their defenses one last time. They had done everything possible, but it might not be enough. The pirates approached slowly, using heavy shields to protect themselves from crystal attacks. Their leader called out from behind cover. Last chance. Send out the princess and we'll make your death quick, human. Never. Princess Lirelei shouted back, her voice echoing off the rocks. The final battle was about to begin when Marcus heard something that made his heart jump. The sound of ship engines coming from the sky. Listen, he told Princess Lirelei. Above them, ships were breaking through the atmosphere. Marcus counted at least 6 vessels, some human, some Zephyrian. The two fleets that had been enemies for 30 years were flying together. The pirate leader cursed loudly as the rescue ships opened fire on his position. Within minutes, the surviving pirates threw down their weapons and surrendered. A human shuttle landed near their rocky fortress. Lieutenant Kim jumped out, followed by several Zephyrian soldiers in crystal armor. "Commander Chen," Kim called. "Are you all right, sir?" Marcus and Princess Lirelei climbed down from their defensive position. Marcus felt weak with relief, but he noticed that Princess Lirelei looked worried instead of happy. A tall Zephyrian officer approached them. His skin was the deep blue of high rank, and his expression was cold. "Princess Lirelei," he said formally, "I am General Vextar. Your father sent me to bring you home safely." Princess Lirelei nodded, but her skin remained pale. "Thank you, General. But there are things we must discuss." "Of course, Your Highness. We can talk aboard ship. The human will be returned to his own people." "No," Princess Lirelei said firmly. "The human stays with me. We have much to discuss with both our peoples." General Vextar looked shocked. Skin shifted to darker blue. "Your Highness, surely you have not been contaminated by human influence?" Princess Lirelei's skin blazed with bright gold light. "Yes, General. I have been contaminated by human compassion, human courage, and human friendship, and I am better for it." The general stepped back in alarm. Other Zephyrian soldiers whispered among themselves, their skin colors showing confusion and disgust. Lieutenant Kim and the human soldiers also looked surprised. They had never seen their commander standing so close to an alien royal, or seen such brightness in Zephyrian crystal. "Skin, I request an immediate meeting with representatives of both species," Princess Lirelei announced. "I have important things to share about what I have learned." 2 hours later, they were aboard the human flagship in orbit. The main briefing room held officers from both fleets, all looking uncertain about this unusual gathering. Princess Lirelei stood at the center of the room, with Marcus beside her. Her skin glowed steadily with warm, golden light. "For 30 years, our peoples have been at war," she began. "We Zephyrians have always believed that humans were dangerous because of their emotions. We called them primitive, chaotic, contaminating." The Zephyrian officers nodded, while the humans looked uncomfortable. "I was wrong," Princess Lirelei continued. "We were all wrong." General Vextar stood up angrily. "Your Highness, you cannot mean this. Look at yourself. Your skin shows every emotion. This is exactly what we feared would happen." "Yes, look at me," Princess Lirelei said, spreading her arms wide. "I am showing emotions, and I am not weaker for it. I am stronger." She turned to address both groups. "Commander Chen and I survived together for 4 weeks. In that time, I learned that human emotions are not weakness. They are a form of strength that my people have forgotten." Marcus felt proud of her courage as she continued speaking. "Humans do not just survive. They make survival worthwhile. They care for strangers, sacrifice for others, and create bonds that make them fight harder than any logical reason could explain. When I was sick, Commander Chen shared his warmth. When I was afraid, he gave me hope. When pirates threatened to kill him, I discovered that I would rather die than live without friendship." The room was completely silent. Princess Lirelei's skin pulsed with rainbow colors as she spoke from her heart. "I propose a new kind of alliance," she said. "Not just peace between our governments, but cultural exchange between our peoples. My people need to rediscover the emotions we threw away. Humans need to learn the patience and wisdom that come with long life." She looked directly at Marcus. "Commander Chin, I formally request that you serve as Earth's first ambassador to Zephyria. Help us learn to feel again." Marcus felt honored and nervous at the same time. Your Highness, I would be proud to serve in that role. General Vexstar shook his head. The royal family will never approve this madness. Princess Lirelei smiled, the first genuine smile Marcus had ever seen from her. General, I am the heir to the throne. Someday I will rule Zephyria. And when I do, we will no longer fear human warmth. The meetings continued for days, but the outcome was never in doubt. Both species were tired of war, and Princess Lirelei's passionate speeches convinced many that peace was worth trying. Finally, as the diplomatic ships prepared to travel to Zephyria for the formal treaty signing, Marcus and Princess Lirelei found themselves alone together again. They sat in the observation deck of her royal ship, watching the stars stream past as they traveled through hyperspace. Marcus was reading reports about Zephyrian culture, preparing for his new role as ambassador. Marcus, Princess Lirelei said softly, I want to tell you something I never said before. He looked up from his reading. What is it? Her skin glowed. With gentle purple light, the color he had learned meant deep truth. I never actually hated humans. I was afraid of you. Afraid? Why? Because you represented everything my people had lost. Joy, friendship, love, hope. I was afraid that if I let myself feel those things, I would realize how empty my life had been. Marcus set down his reports and moved closer to her. And now I know that an empty life isn't worth living, no matter how long it lasts. She spoke. Princess Lirelei felt drowsiness creeping over her. The stress of the past weeks was finally catching up with her. Without thinking about it, she leaned toward Marcus's familiar warmth. This time, she made a conscious choice. She rested her head on his shoulder, her crystal skin glowing softly where it touched him. Thank you, she whispered as sleep took her. For what? Marcus asked. For teaching me what it means to be alive.